This lesson is covering percents and decimals. We're going to be converting between percents and decimals into percents. So my first example is to write 42 5/10% as a decimal. So what I first have to do is I need, every time you go from percent to decimal, you have to move your decimal point two spots to the left. So I'm going to take the decimal, or the percent, 42.5 or 42 5/10%, and I'm going to move the decimal one spot, two spots to the left. So I'm going to say my answer is 425 thousandths. Again, all we have to do to convert a percent into a decimal is to move that decimal spot, or the decimal point, two spots to the left. Now my next example is going the opposite direction. It's going from a decimal to a percent. So, for example 2, I'm going to ask you to convert 625 thousandths into a percent. And in order to do this, you need to move your decimal directly in the opposite direction that I did in my last example. So my last example, I had you move the decimal two spots to the left. This time, I'm going to have you move the decimal two spots to the right. So I'm going to take my decimal, 625 thousandths, and I'm going to take my decimal and move it one spot, two spots to the right. So now I'm going to have my answer as 62 5/10%. Notice we just converted it back in the opposite direction. We went left in this example. We went one spot, two spots to the left. Here, we went backwards. We went one spot, two spots to the right. So again, to convert percents into decimals and decimals into percents, you just need to move the decimal two spots to either the left or the right. A lot of times I like to tell my students PDL, DPR. Percent to decimal, you move to the left. Decimal to percent, you move to the right. So you can think about those, that acronym for it. Or what you can do is you can think of the decimal point comes at the beginning of the number. A percent sign comes at the end of the number. To go from percent to decimal, notice that arrow moves to the left. So we go to the left. And then if we go from decimal to percent, again, we're just going to the right. So you can think about either diagram. You know, I've had students in the past create silly ways to think about these, like people don't lie. Just, you know, you can think of silly phrases to say for this, or you can always think of this diagram here. So that is it for my lesson of turning percents into decimals and decimals into percents.